Excuse me. So when we say defining the project and identifying its scope, the project scope must explain the project purpose and the goals of the project. Of course, as I said, what is the project? Project is the inception or the idea which came into business people's mind. So they came up with their problems, and then, as I said, they had some sort of targeted solution. So that targeted solution becomes a project. So we say, okay, we are going to implement that solution. So one more thing, folks, I forgot to explain to you. Currently, market is looking to the business analyst for two reasons. First part is basically before implementation or even before initiating any sort of project. And the other part is once they have come to that point that yes, this is the project, this is the projected solution, this is where we want to go, and this is our direction. So at that point, they can also hire you. So the first part, it's only for the feasibility analysis, where they want to hire you, so you can go there, you can look into the details of all those requirements. Still, you have to talk to the technical teams. You have to create different sort of documentation, so it's called usually business case. So within that business case, it justifies the business side's requirements, how much budget is it going to take, and at the end, of course, once the business case is developed, so basically that job is done. So now that document goes back to the business side. They can look into all those matrices, saying that, okay, to complete this process, this is how much budget we need, this is how much amount we need, and this is how long, from time perspective we need. So these two factors, they're looking into that. So they go back to their higher management. If this need is really crucial, if they have to develop it no matter what, and if they have all those budgets and human resources available, they would start jumping into that. And they would say, okay, we are ready to implement that project. Then they need you, again, to start implementing that project. So in that part, basically, then all these, responsibilities start, where you define the project, in which you basically put the purpose of the whole project, that what are we really looking for, what do we really want to achieve, what is our goal and objective, and what this project is really looking for. Again, project scope documentation includes project vision, what is the viewpoint of this whole project. Then you organize and name all stakeholders involved in the project. So stakeholder is the jargon, it's the terminology. You probably want to go into the little bit details of that. Any business side, any people who initiated this whole inception, who came up with this whole idea, any people who are driving the whole budget and timeline perspective, so they are the people who have all these powers. So they are the people who are stakeholders in any project. One thing is stockholders, so don't mix up with stakeholders, and stockholders. So stakeholders are the people who in any project are considered as a business team. So whenever you are in any project, so do not speak or name them as business teams. That is also good terminology, but always as a business analyst, you are supposed to say as stakeholder that my stakeholder wants this. So they are involved in the project, of course, and then you have to organize and name them. You usually create a whole list of names, and then you organize it accordingly that, okay, this stakeholder belongs to this particular function, business function, they are from finance, they are from HR, then how do they really tie up with each other? Because you are the person who's going to keep organizing all these meetings and everything, so you are the person who's going to see or come up with the idea that, okay, within that meeting, who I should really call. For example, if it's the whole, the objective of that meeting is completely related to finance, of course you should not, invite any HR people in there. But of course, sometimes some HR functions directly relate to finance and vice versa. So then you probably have to invite both of them. Then prepare business case. Again, as I just mentioned, let's see what business case is. Business case is the documentation which evaluates risk management, staffing, project plan, cost, schedule, and profit trade-offs. So at the end, of this, once this documentation is complete, so this is where, I said, usually you are hired at the first stage of this whole process, where business sides, they just come up with their inceptions and ideas, and they want to implement something, and your responsibility is to basically create this sort of documentation, where you are the person who's evaluating all these risks, saying that if we do this, this is the risk. If we do not do this, then this is the risk. Then you are the person who's managing all these staffing needs. Like you are the person who needs to know that how many resources and what type of resources we would need, how much what sort of project plan we need to come up with, cost, of course, schedule, how much timeline we need, and at the end of the project, once this project is done, let's say we spend $10 million on this project, so then at the end, how are we really going to get back that amount? So usually that amount won't come back in dollar amounts, but it does come back in some sort of service orientation, or it increases your organization's performance and reputation, and sometimes you just need it. For example, if you just open one bank, so you cannot just stay in the market without providing your different services, and the biggest service is the website. And that website is for you that could be just pnc.com or chase.com, but at the backside, so it's a huge project which includes millions and billions of dollars and a huge infrastructure and everything. Then high-level description of the business processes, that each business process is related to what. Then you are the person who's going to manage the whole change control process. We will go into the details of this one line like change control process in 5th session, which is usually last session. All right, did someone join me? So they are the people who, this is the process where we assure that if there is any scope change and it has been formally approved or not, and how to go back to the project management team and get it approval, and then how to make all those changes. So usually 5th or 6th session, which is second last or last session, so in that one, we will go into the detail of this whole change control process, and we'll see into the details how this whole process works. Then you are the person who prepares the glossary, where you maintain all these information gathered. Everyone knows what glossary is, within that documentation. If you use any sort of terminology, so then you are the person who is responsible